Frederick Fennell. And it is the piece, The Sleigh Ride by Anderson, that will open the Christmas concert of the Pro Art Orchestra that's taking place on Monday night at 8 p.m. at the Hong Kong Cultural Centre Concert Hall. And in the next hour, my guest will be the conductor and music director of the orchestra, Ho Man Choi, who will be telling us much more about the event. Right now, it's coming up to 35 minutes past 8. It's a Thursday, and that means Howard Elias is sitting across from me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, and we're going to be talking about another Star Wars film.
Yeah, Star Wars is back, and in case you haven't heard, it's funny. I saw it Thursday. It opened last Thursday. I saw it Thursday night. And Saturday morning, I ran into a friend of mine in Central, and he said, "Have you seen the latest Star Wars movie?" I said, "Yes, as a matter of fact, I have." He said, "Good, now I can talk to somebody about it, because I've seen it too, and I can't talk to anybody." So we shared our thoughts on it. But as Luke Skywalker says in this movie, this is not going to go the way you think. I am not going to reveal any spoilers. Well, I might. No, I don't think I will.
No, you shouldn't.
No, I won't reveal. Because there still are a few people out there who haven't seen the film. So this is going to be safe. I'm not going to ruin it for you if you haven't seen it. Now, are you a Star Wars fan, Stacey?
No.
Oh.
I think I saw the first 3, I suppose.
You saw 4, 5, 6? Episodes 4, 5, 6?
No.
Oh, you saw episodes...
those were the first 3.
The first 2 were episodes 4, 5, 6.
But the ones that were released back in the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah, those are 4, 5, 6, yeah.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, 4, 5, 6. Yes,
right.
Which I call 1, 2, 3. But never mind.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You'll get the fanboys all upset. Yeah. Okay. So you saw the best until this one came along. So you've seen the best.
Well, from what I've read, let's put it this way: it's been taken in a bold new direction.
It has.
And
it has.
Not a good one, then?
No, I don't know. I mean, no, I would disagree with that. It's been, but certainly a different direction. Yeah. So in case you're not up on it, yes, 4, 5, 6 episodes 4, 5, 6 came out in the 70s. 40 years ago was episode 4.
I remember going with my friends. We must have been high school or something.
High school,
maybe. Yeah.
I had hair back then.
To go and see it in the local cinema.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and stand
movie theater.
So, yeah, right. We didn't call it cinemas.
Theater.
Yeah, we weren't so posh as calling it cinema. And James, last week when I was on Radio 3 doing the review, and I was talking to James about it. He was reminding me when he went to see it, it was at a big cinema. He was standing. He had to stand outside, and the queue was around the block. And I said, I forgot about that. Mm-hmm. It was the same with me, also. Yeah. It was like continuous showings, starting at 9:00 in the morning and going till midnight. And I said, I completely forgot about that. Ah, those were the days.
Well, they certainly knew how to do their PR right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, about 10 years ago or so, episodes 1, 2, 3 came out, maybe 20 now, I can't even remember. Episodes 1, 2, 3.
I was a little bit too old for it.
Well, I don't even think I saw episode 3. I saw 1 and 2, and they were awful. Maybe I didn't even see 3, I don't know. And then 2 years ago, we had episode 7. So in the latest installment, Disney bought the franchise and decided to have 3 more films to start. So we had episode 7, which came out 2 years ago, and that was called The Force Awakens. And that took place 30 years after the events of episode 6. So you didn't see episode 7?
No.
Okay, so just I'm going to give you a bit of history, a bit of context. I'll probably ruin it for you, but let's assume you've seen it. Most people listening have seen it. So in episode 7, which came out 2 years ago, we saw the Galactic Civil. In episode 6 there was a Galactic Civil War, and the Death Star was destroyed. And then in episode 7, the First Order has risen from the ashes of the evil empire, and it sought to destroy the New Republic, the latter of which is led by General Leia Organa, Carrie Fisher's character. And we were introduced to a host of new characters, including Rey, played by Daisy Ridley, who is a scavenger from the desert planet of Jakku, who was abandoned as a child. There was Finn, played by John Boyega. He's in a new movie coming out. I forgot. I just saw this yesterday. He's in a new movie. A First Order stormtrooper who defects from the First Order to join the Resistance. There's Poe Dameron, played by Oscar Isaac, who is a Resistance X-Wing fighter who is a little bit rash and brash. He doesn't like to sit around and wait for things to happen. He likes to make things happen, much to the concern of everybody else around him. There's Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, who's in every movie these days. And he's a high-ranking member of the First Order who, like Darth Vader before him, has gone over to the dark side. There's Supreme Leader Snoke, played by Andy Serkis, doing motion capture, as Andy Serkis always does, except when he's behind the camera being the director. And he's the political leader of the First Order, and he's Kylo Ren's mentor. And there is BB-8, who's an adorable little droid in the vein of R2-D2, because you have to have an adorable little droid. So, and those were all the new characters, and then there were a couple of old characters. Of course, Carrie Fisher was in it. There was Harrison Ford playing Han Solo, and Peter Mayhew playing Chewbacca. They were both in the last film. And I want to say that when I saw the last film, The Force Awakens, in the cinema, when those two characters appeared on screen, everybody in the audience went, "Oh," because they're so beloved.
Yes.
Right? They were such great characters. And spoiler for you, because you didn't see the film, Han Solo dies.
Okay.
Right?
Hence he's not in this one.
Well, you never know these days.
Might come back. Yeah.
He might come back. Mm-hmm. And then at the very last scene, we see Luke Skywalker, played by Mark Hamill, who
is in this film.
And he is in this film. So at the end of the last scene, he's there because Rey searches for him, and she finds him on the remote planet of Ahch-To, or Ahch-To, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Ahch-To. And she passes the lightsaber to him, and that's how the film ended. But not before we learn that Kylo Ren is the love child of Han and Leia. Mm-hmm. So goodness spawned evil.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Right. So now this new film, The Last Jedi, picks up the story right where the last one ended off. So Rey is with Luke on Ahch-To, or Ahch-To. She wants him to teach her the ways of the Jedi and how she can channel the Force, which she realizes she has within her. And Luke, who's now a Jedi Master, sort of in the vein of Obi-Wan Kenobi, he has no interest in teaching her because he apparently, and this is no secret, we learned this in the last film, he apparently taught Kylo Ren, who's a.k.a. Ben Solo. He was trying to teach him to be a Jedi Master, a Jedi fighter, and that sort of didn't work because he went over to the dark side. Mm-hmm. So he said to Rey, I don't want to teach you. I'm not getting involved. I'm here on this planet. Leave me alone. Go away. Meanwhile, the New Republic is under attack from the First Order, under the command of General Hux, played by Donald Gleason, who's also in a lot of movies these days. And there are many losses on both sides. And Leia's resistance forces regroup, and they stall for time, while Finn and Rose, who's a new character played by Kelly Marie Tran, very nice to see Asian characters. There's 2 Asian characters in this film. She's one of them. She's a resistance maintenance worker, and the two, Finn and Rose, they fly off to a nearby planet to find the one person who might be able to help them in their fight to defeat the new resistance. And that's all I'm going to say about the plot, because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. So that's really what this film is all about. Now, in the last film, The Force Awakens, there was a big question about who is, because we learned that Kylo Ren's parents are General Leia and Han Solo. The question is, who are Rey's parents? We don't know this, right? This is for the past couple of years, we've all been, all the fanboys and fangirls have been speculating on who her parents are. I was of the opinion, I was in the camp that said Luke Skywalker is her father. Yeah. It sort of seems that way, right? But so in this film,
too predictable.
Yeah, maybe so. So in this film, she's on this quest also to find out who her parents are, and I'm not going to tell you. You have to plunk down the money to find that out. Okay. All right. There was also a question about whether Billy D. Williams, who played Han Solo's sidekick, why is the name escape me right now? You know,
the sidekick.
The sidekick. Mm-hmm. Lando Calrissian. There, it comes to me.
Okay,
yeah. So there was a question about whether he was going to be in this one. And in fact, a couple of years ago, he said he was going to be in this one, but he's not. So there was also the fanboys and fangirls were saying he's Finn's father. We still don't know. Okay. So that question has not been answered yet. I've been telling people that people who haven't seen this film, I've been saying we do find that answer out, but actually we don't, because he's not in this film and he's not even mentioned. So maybe that will be saved for the next installment. I don't know. Who knows? We'll find out. in 2 years' time. I think it's in 2 years' time.
I thought this was going to be the last.
No, are you kidding? If they can make another billion? No.
Let's talk about the director, this Rian Johnson.
Rian Johnson. So this is his first time directing a Star Wars film. He's only done a few films, but have been met with critical success. One of them he did, I'm trying to remember when it was. I think it was, I want to say 2002, but that seems too long ago. It was called Looper, about a time-jumping guy, and it starred Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And in fact, Joseph Gordon-Levitt has a cameo. He has a voice cameo in this film. Now, I'll be darned if I'm going to remember which character he was, but he has a voice cameo. So I thought he did a good job. He also wrote the screenplay, and as we said at the outset, he does take the characters in a different direction, but I think he's respectful of who they are, and he's respectful of the franchise, and I appreciated that. So, I give him a thumbs up for it. The use of color is very interesting. There's a lot of red in this film. And even in the posters, you see the posters have a red theme to them. And so it's like red, there's like red and black and white, I'd say, are really the three colors in this film. And just beautifully done. Very, very, very stark imagery. There's one scene where I'm not going to say, some characters are fighting some stormtroopers, or not stormtroopers. They're actually, I guess they're a version of a stormtrooper that are affiliated with Snoke, and these stormtroopers are in red, and they're stunning. Like the costuming is really stunning. They look like a cross between samurai and conquistadors. It's that sort of imagery. And is really beautifully shot and framed, and so very nice to watch. It's like a pleasure to watch. I like the art of watching it. And I'd say even the choreography for all the fighting that goes on, in terms of the lightsaber fighting, really well done. So, there have been other films over the years, not the Star Wars films, but other films where there's sword play, let's say, or there are some, kickboxing going on, some action, hand-to-hand combat that are not done well. This is done very well. The choreography is done very well. So I appreciate what he did. He said he's not going to be doing the next film. Somebody else is going to be directing it. I don't think they've announced who will be directing Episode 9, but he will be. He is tasked. He has received the job of creating a new Star Wars franchise with new characters in a new distant part of a galaxy far, far away that will come out, I think, in 2020. I'm not sure. So he's going to be directing and writing the first of those 3 films that come out. So,
what would you credit as a whole for its popularity?
It's simple. To me, the story is simple. And I have a friend who's a film critic in Toronto who hates Star Wars. Like, after Episode 6, the first 3 films, he hates Star Wars because he says, George Lucas must be furious. Well, I don't think George Lucas is furious at all. George Lucas has made $1 gazillion off of licensing these characters, so I don't think he's furious at all. I think these are very simple stories of good versus evil, and sometimes good triumphs and sometimes evil triumphs. So, and these are very likable characters. I think, in recent years, even before Disney took over the franchise, they became very conscious of the marketing of these characters. So you have, which I don't like, so you have animal characters or alien characters. I don't know if they're animal. Alien characters that are, you just know that they're going to make plush toy versions of it and action figure versions, and sell them and make $1 gazillion off of the licensing of that. And sure enough, I said to a friend of mine when we saw the film last Thursday, I said, you will be, there's one character, or there's a group of characters in this film called Gorp, the Gorps. And they look like a cross between a gremlin and a puffin. Right? And I said to my friend, you will be certain to see these in the stores tomorrow morning. And sure enough, the ads came out the very next day. Mattel has a plush version of it. Right? Or there's even a version, there's a bad version of a BB-8, a dark side version of a BB-8. So it's all in black. And apparently there's this cute little version of a BB-8, the toy version of a BB-8, or the dark side version of the BB-8, that spins and moves its head the way the BB-8 droid does as well. Mm-hmm. So, to me, I think that's a negative, that they became very conscious, the franchise became very conscious of the marketing tie-ins, the opportunity of the marketing tie-ins. So I don't like that, but that's the world we live in. So I think, but as far as the story goes, I think, the general story, I think that it's, as I said, it's a story of good versus evil. It's a story, these are likable characters. They're lovable. I'll even go far enough to say they're lovable characters. Like Carrie Fisher's character and
well, as you mentioned, the audience reaction, everyone goes, oh,
yeah,
and like, oh,
and sure enough,
it's all the same. It's like a unifying force.
Yeah, definitely. That's very metaphysical. Yeah.
That runs through these films.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody feels the same, and even when evil wins, it's like, ooh, evil won. Like, how did this happen? Everybody feels the same across the world.
Right, and you know what? And I like it that sometimes evil does win. Not that I like that evil wins, but I like that they go in that direction. That there are times when evil wins. And I think this is probably a way for me, The Empire Strikes Back, Episode 5, the second of the Star Wars series of the films that we saw. That's still my favorite film of all of them, and that's one where Darth Vader wins, right? And I think that was a brave choice because what is this? This is basically it's a cowboy movie in space. This is a Western in space, or some people call it a space opera, a soap opera up in space. But at least they're able to say, okay, sometimes the good guys win and sometimes the bad guys win. So, good for you. I'm not a fanboy, but I'm too old to be a fanboy. But I do like it. I do appreciate it. Although I didn't like episodes 1, 2, 3. So, I think this is a good film. There were afterwards, all the fanboys and fangirls went online and said, oh, this is the best movie ever. It is not the best movie ever. It is not even the best Star Wars movie ever. Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie ever.
According to you.
According to me. This is up there, though. It's certainly better than episodes 1, 2, 3. It's certainly better than episode 7. Episode 7, which was the one that came out 2 years ago, I liked it, but it was too much like episode 4. It was basically episode 4 with different characters doing the same thing that they did in episode 4. So, it was a fan service film. They felt they needed to get the fans to come along to like these new characters, and okay, that was the decision they made. Fine. It worked. Everybody came over. But it wasn't an original film by any means. So I'd say this may be the second best Star Wars film, third best. Yeah, okay, it's up there for sure. Now, as I said, Carrie Fisher is in this film. This was her final film. When the first time she appeared on screen, everybody in the audience applauded, in my audience applauded, and at the end of the film, everybody applauded as well. But you don't see too often that people applaud here. You go to film festivals, people applaud, but in general cinema, people typically don't applaud. But there were enough fanboys and fangirls in the audience when I thought that they did applaud. And I gotta say, for a final bow, this was a good one. She knocked it home, and I wouldn't be surprised if she gets nominated and perhaps wins an Oscar for it. She is the star of this film. Her and Oscar Isaac are the stars of this film, in my opinion. And there's great scenes between the two of them, and also with Laura Dern, who plays a new character, Vice Admiral Holdo. The three of them are really fabulous actors together in their scenes together. And this is also what I like about the Star Wars franchise, is that it's not just shoot 'em up, pow pow, this sort of thing. There's acting. There's solid acting. And this film, it really has some good acting in it. So, that was good. Now, I'm amazed that they shot all the scenes with Carrie Fisher, obviously, before she died. Mm-hmm. I think there might be 1 or 2 scenes that were CGI'd. I don't know for sure, but this is what I hear. But I'm amazed that they shot so much footage of her. Now, interestingly, I'm going to reveal this one. No, I'm not going to reveal. No, I'm not going to reveal.
I'm going to get it out of you later.
No, I was going to say she will not be in the next episode, but I don't know. She might be in the next episode. Who knows what they can do? You know, Elvis was in the Blade Runner 2049, so anything's possible these days with technology. She might be in the next one.
With all of the footage that they do have of her to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could definitely do something.
Yeah.
Sure.
So who knows?
So?
I think on the negative side, though, for me, the film lacked spectacle. It lacked wowness. So one of the things I loved about episodes 4, 5, 6 was that it wowed me. You know, we saw things that we had never seen before. And maybe, you know, now 40 years later, we've seen so many science fiction films and so much, so many things blowing up in space and lasers and all that stuff that I found that this didn't excite me the way those films did. I found some things were a little bit too familiar. For example, the planet that Luke Skywalker was on, it had a blue sky and it had blue water. Well, you know, why didn't they make it an orange sky and green water or purple water or something like that? You know, there was some alien life there. Non-terrestrial, non-terrestrial life. Let's be politically correct here. There was non-terrestrial life there, which was very interesting. But I thought, you know, they could have done a little bit more. Maybe have that planet have 5 moons, each of them a different color. You know, so that to me that was a little disappointing. Also, the place where Finn and that new character, whatever her name is, Rose, go. It looks very familiar to a place here on Earth. I'm not going to say which place because that would be a spoiler. But you look at it and you say, okay, it's a little different than what we have here on Earth, but it's not all that different. So I thought they could have really pushed it a little bit further. So that was disappointing. Also, I thought the film could have been about 10 minutes shorter. It was just a touch over 2.5 hours. So if you need to pee, make sure you do it before you go in. The woman who sat 2 seats away from me did not, and she had to get up in the middle. So do it. Don't get your neighbors upset. No, I think there were a couple scenes there were probably about a dozen scenes that went on about 10 seconds too long each. And if they just would have cut, just snip, 10 seconds out of all these scenes, they could have easily cut 10 minutes out of the film. So those were things that I thought could have been better. Now, did you know there were a lot of cameos in the film? Prince Harry and Prince William were in the cast. They had cameos, but apparently they were cut. They ended up on the cutting room floor, so they were not in it. But Tom Hardy was in it, Gary Barlow, as I said, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You're giving me dirty looks. I got to end. So I'd say music is great. John Williams' score is fabulous. I think great film. I did like it. I saw it in IMAX 3D. Do not spend money on 3D for this film. You don't need it. Go see it in regular 2D or see it in IMAX. Certainly see it on a big screen. So I say go see it. May the Force be with you. Have a wonderful holiday and see you next week.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Howard Elias
Bye.
On Star Wars The Last Jedi.